Yeah, well, in New York, you have the marathon that took place. A couple of people we know ran in it. I don't know how they did, but I was talking to Melinda about it yesterday. She was pretty excited about it.
Mm.
So, and then this morning, yoga was canceled, so I went to Zumba and did most of that. Now I was doing a little bit of work to get the week started off right. How about you guys?
Nice.
Dude, you were at Zumba?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I say that that's hot, man? That's awesome.
Yeah.
You were like dancing yourself into shape, man.
When I
Yeah.
when Richie was my private trainer over there, Brandon, um, the timing was such that I would finish and I would just go there, and this instructor, Julie, said, "You have to start coming." So that was 2 years ago, almost every Sunday, and it was crazy. And last week was Halloween, right? Or this past week, so the
Yeah,
Sunday before, she came dressed as a zombie. So how fun is that?
Dang.
class, man.
It's great.
Yeah.
Class.
You keep on trying to drag me, but I suck at dancing. So
Well,
I
I'm
won't
not
be able to
much
match
better.
your moves, mate.
I can't imagine I'm much better.
You just have to
I
let
saw
Eric
you today.
lead. You just have to let him lead, Richie. That's it. He'll
I
stop.
saw him doing it today. I was working out at the same time that the class was on, and I finished and I came upstairs. And just for those who don't know who watch, so Eric and I live literally around the corner from each other. Go to the same New York sports club to work out. And yeah, so I saw him dancing, and there was maybe, I don't know, like 30 people in there. It was rammed. It was absolutely rammed. It was just kind of shimmying.
Yeah, and like 27 or happen to be women, so it's fun.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was
I think I
pretty
maybe only
psyched.
saw you.
Last week, I was dancing with her, sort of ballroom dancing a tad, and
Hmm.
she said I have to go back to the routine, but I really enjoy dancing with you. You're an elegant man. So that was
Oh
really
man,
nice. She
man,
Nice.
no, she's happily married, but I thought that was awesome. I'm still living on that compliment.
I'm living on that compliment now. That's a
Yeah,
that's a nice one. That's nice.
That was
yeah.
class. Yeah, no, she's a class act. She's great.
No,
Richie
Well,
I mean
knows her.
it's
Richie met her.
yeah, yeah. I do. Do you know what? It's a shame really because we won't badmouth anyone in a sense, but there's so much that could be done in that club to make it as energetic as that one class. I mean, can you imagine every day having classes like that where people really enjoyed to go? And I mean, that's the kind of gym that I was hoping it was going to be. And it turns out it's just go there, do weights, and then go home. But yeah, I mean, I'm at that point now where because you said about this week, this week's been a really tough week, if I'm honest with you. Like mentally, it's been a really hard week. And I don't even know why. I think the weather changing, and I'm looking outside because it's blue skies, and I think in the UK it's probably pissing down and raining, but
yeah, it was
here it's
shit
blue
all day, man.
skies. Hey,
It was shit all day. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, yeah. So I'm not complaining at the weather, but it's got colder. I had my coat on to walk to the gym today, and I think we're just at that point where we're turning into the winter, and it's always that downturn. I mean, it's the miserable part of the year. So we need to get some energy into it. I'm not going to whinge at all because life's good. I woke up this morning, got all my body parts, got blue skies. My kids are all, well, being kids, let's put it that way. But I'm blessed. I really am blessed. So I think today's episode we should kind of really pump that energy up. And for anyone who's out there and who's feeling it, who's feeling that weather change and feels isolated or lonely, let's give them some energy.
I
Hey,
love it.
Rich, did you guys do that? Where they try to steal 1 extra hour and
Yeah,
change the time
that was
and
today.
Oh, I tell
yeah.
you. Yeah. Do you know my so Caitlin's 18, she's back in the UK, and 1:30 this morning she rang my phone, rang Dan's phone, rang my phone, rang Dan's phone. I was like, shit, what the fuck? When you wake up and you're just thinking, am I still dreaming? And it was just absolutely wild. And I didn't know where I was, so I clambered from my phone and I was like, Caitlin's ringing, and I answered it. And then she was like, hello, hello. And I was like, I literally put the phone down on her because I was still half asleep. I didn't know if I was dreaming this. And then we were like, is something wrong? So Dan text, and she was like, oh, I thought you were 4 hours ahead. I just wanted to say hello. So I woke up at 1:30, totally out of it. And then so this morning when I woke up and it was still dark outside, I was really confused. So because I totally forgot it was happening, the whole kind of clocks going back thing. And I think they need to stop it, man, because it totally fucks you up.
Nobody
It really
likes
fucks
it.
me in mind.
Yeah, nobody likes it. They
No,
did it last week here.
yeah, we don't need it anymore, I don't think. I think we could just scrap it. There's a lot of shit that we used to do I think, and don't quote me on this, but it'd be interesting if anyone can comment if it's right on the below the on Rumble or YouTube. But it started in the Second World War, I want to say, this whole daylight savings crap. And it's continued ever since, and we just need to scrap it because I think there's only a couple of countries in the world that actually do it. And I know there's a tradition, but I think it's a really shit tradition. It's just a really stupid one. So just give us one time zone that it just stays that way all the time. I'm not going to lose an hour. I'm not going to gain an hour, but just pick one and actually pick the one that gives me more daylight. I don't want to save any. I just want the more daylight I can have. That's the one I want to stick with because that's where we're happy, with the beautiful skies and the sun. We don't want the darkness. I don't want to wake up in the dark and then come home from work in the dark. That's miserable as fuck. Like, let's give me the happy side of it. You know what I
I
mean? Like,
I think I think the idea, Richie, is that as the Earth turns on its axis, you have more or
yeah,
less daylight, so they're trying to equalize you out in some convoluted fashion, right? I think Ben
it doesn't work.
Franklin, if you saw that movie National Treasure, which was a
Oh, come
great
on,
great film actually,
mate.
that
That's our favorite film. Come on.
I believe have you seen that, Brendan?
National treasure?
Oh yeah, it's great.
Oh,
Oh, you need
dude.
to with the Freemasons and anyway, the thesis is they're in there somewhere, either Nicolas Cage
Okay,
or
Nicolas Cage. Is it Nash is it like he's a treasure hunter?
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
freaking love
Yes.
that
The
film. Yeah, yeah,
Secret
yeah, yeah,
Lives
yeah.
with Charlotte, man. Come on.
Yes, yes, absolutely love that film.
Okay, you
Absolute
redeemed
class.
yourself, thank goodness. So
That was good.
basically, him, I think he said it that daylight savings time was invented by Ben Franklin. So
Yeah.
there you
Yeah.
go.
If
Yeah,
Nicolas
it
Cage
was.
said it,
There you
it's
go.
true.
There was
Ah,
I had that on DVD, I think, and whatever those are, right? And so they actually, as part of it, is how they made the film. And Jerry Bruckheimer, I think his name was talking about it, and he said, if you think about it, most treasure hunter films are about finding the treasure. This one, they knew the treasure, but they had to find the map and all the
hmm.
clues. So it was upside down, which was pretty cool. I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah,
I
I
like the
love it.
glasses and
Yeah,
all
of
the
course.
Yes.
lore,
Just it just
and
it's
the
so it just it takes you back there and even the words that they use, you know, it just I love the films. Number two was okay. It
Nah,
was all right. I don't think it was like as
Ed
good.
Harris was
Number
in it,
yep,
he's
and
good. He's
yep.
good though.
Yep, absolutely. Number three is Back to Roots, and it's going to be out of this world supposedly.
Oh,
So
when is that coming out?
I want to say next year,
Okay, well that would be good.
middle to back end of next year. But they've got the original three back in, so well, the original two, and I don't know. Well, I think his because it was his girlfriend at the end. Then they got married, but they divorced. They were
Oh
separating in
no.
the second one. And then I think the third one, they're all back in it. So we've got the three main characters that we had. And it's the origins of the Freemasons, I believe it's called. So it'd
Oh,
okay,
be
cool.
really, really cool to
that'll
watch.
be
As being a
interesting.
Freemason, yeah, I'd love to see what their take on Freemasonry is. Because over here in the US, it's not original Freemasonry as we know it. It came across from Europe into Scotland, down from Scotland and across to America. So it'd be really interesting to see what the American take on it is. Mm.
I thought the Freemasons were just like stonemasons, but it's not really the case. They're
Oh my gosh.
Well,
just
they
like make
were.
stuff out of stones.
They were. Come on, they were. They were. They were the foundations of most of society.
Yeah,
It's
they
just
just
it's the Templars that are interesting. Was
make
it the
some
Oranges?
cool
Yeah.
shit out of stones, man.
Mm.
Yeah,
I love the Templars. Like the Templars' history is crazy.
it
They were the
is.
first banking system in the world, and kings owed them like billions in today's money. And then Friday the 13th comes from when I believe it was the King of France owed them so much money that it would have bankrupt France. So he went to the Pope, got the Pope to announce that actually everyone who was a member of the Knights Templar against the holy um, against God,
basically
against
enemies of
everything.
God or
Yeah,
whatever.
everything to do with it. And it's actually they were the protectors, but the whole religion side of it, that everything that surrounded it, the Pope at the time denounced them, I want to say is the word. And then they were
Excommunicated
rounded
them.
up. Yeah, yeah. So they rounded up, and on Friday the 13th is when it happened. So that's why it's an unlucky day, and that's where it comes from. But all the heads they said that they wouldn't, basically they wouldn't lie against what they believed in. So they were burnt at the stake, killed in pretty horrendous ways, and then they fled to Portugal. They changed the flag. They became something new, but it was still the Knights Templar. And then when Spain and Portugal were at war, at one point Spain was, they had Portugal as part of Spain, so they fled across and with the treasures, and they kind of bounced. And then there's a story that they went to Nova Scotia, which is, I don't know if you've seen the TV show Oak Island. Don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember.
Who's in that?
It's
Who's
kind
in
of a
that?
treasure
Who's in that?
hunt.
Yeah, so there's two brothers,
No, I didn't see that one.
Marty
I
and
didn't see that one.
one slips of mind. But so there's two brothers, and they saw in a magazine when they were kids about this treasure and Oak Island. Supposedly the Templars had visited it, and there was a pit that had been found by three guys, and I think there was like 7, 8, 9, 10 levels to it. And on the bottom level was a stone, and on the stone was carved all of these symbols. And when they removed the stone, it flooded. Chambers flooded, so
Oh
it
my
was booby
goodness.
trapped. So it's like the Goonies, basically, but in real life. But there's all these treasure hunters have been looking on Oak Island because there is a chamber somewhere. These two brothers came along, and I think for about 8 or 10 years, something ridiculous like that, they've got a TV show. It's followed them through, and on the last season, they dug a shaft down, and at the bottom of the shaft, they hit with a metal detector what came back as potential gold
Wow.
or silver. The problem was the permit that day ended, and Canada are like religious. You go against that permit, you will not get another permit, and there's no digging.
Oh
So
no,
so
that's
they had to stop.
crazy.
It's great because the story is
Canadians.
they've actually found gold. They found the treasure. So it'll be interesting this season when I think it comes out. If it's not already, it's definitely going to be out in the next couple of weeks. Normally it's October, November when it comes out. But it'll be super cool. But there's ties to the Templars. There's a lot of signs, symbols that have been found around the island. There's stories from natives who through their generations have passed it down that these explorers came across, and the Templar sign was there. So I love all that. So when I watched that film, honestly, I love it. I love history. And that film was amazing. Just kicking it off, a stormy night, and the guy's dying, and he's the secret lies with Charlotte, and it's like, oh, come on, who's Charlotte? What is it? And then it turns out to be a boat, and
Don't
two pipes.
don't ruin it. Don't no spoilers,
Epic.
Richie.
Talk
No
about it.
no
Not a
No
boat,
spoilers.
it's a
spoilers.
horse.
If
Charlotte's
if
a
you,
horse. It's
the
not it's a
secret lies of
No,
horse.
Charlotte, that's all I'll
Mr.
say.
Ed was a horse. Mr.
Yeah.
Ed. So that's great. Now what's the derivation? Where did Spielberg get his ideas in Raiders of the Lost Ark? Because that's incredible too, right? With the
Oh,
history and the ark.
do you follow that though? So, where they filmed, where they went through into the temple and you had the three brothers and one of them stayed, and not the Lost Ark, but it was the
No, that's the last one. But there
The
were all
what's the
Last
those
last
booby
one?
Crusade.
trip. That's called The Last
Mhm.
Crusade with Sean Connery, and there
Yes.
was one Wiseman, which one of my favorite lines of all times.
He
So
chose
He
poorly.
has chosen poorly.
Yeah, he has chosen poorly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you know that Josh Gates is he's like the real life Indiana Jones when he's so fucking cool. And he lives in New York. I'd love to bump into him. Anyway, we watch his shows religiously, and
Maybe,
So he's got a TV show, and they went there. They went to where they did the filming, and believe it or
Alexandretta.
not, yeah, they found a chamber underneath because the building that was used as the temple actually it's a real place. And there was a secret compartment underneath that's got a burial underneath. And so they
Wow.
opened it up on his TV show recently, went in, found all these burials, and then they've actually found that underneath that is another burial chamber. So it's
Whoa.
crazy as shit.
Now,
Like,
now that if you ever Google, and you could Google this, in Jordan,
mm,
country of Jordan,
mm,
there's a place called the Treasury. That
that's
is
it.
supposedly where. Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. All of
Yeah,
us together
that's where
make
it
a
is.
whole person. You know that,
I
Brendan?
know, I know. We've got
I
like
like
three
it.
parts of the brain.
I like it.
My uncle used to say two half-wits make a nitwit, but we won't go there today.
Well, I was gonna say we got three of them, so what does that make?
One and a half. So 150%. But yeah, yeah. No, I looked at that. That building
Mm,
when you go into or approach the Treasury, I think it's in Pet. Oh no, you know what? Did I say Jordan? I think it's in Jordan. Petra. I think it's in Petra.
Petra. Yes, that's the name of it.
I believe so.
That is the name of it. Yeah. Yeah,
10 points.
he's
We'll
found
take
some
it.
stuff.
Thank you.
Boom, I love it. You got to watch these shows. He's got a couple actually. Expedition Unknown, Expedition X. Like he's got some really cool shows, and he's just an amazing explorer, and he is the real life Indiana Jones to me. He's out there, he's living it. And there's a society in New York for explorers that you have to be out there doing it to be part, and they're out there finding the world's treasures. They really are. It's crazy.
I have a
But
metal
I mean,
detector. I
when I'm
I
back
don't
in the
use,
UK, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to bring my metal detector. We're gonna have to go out
I don't use
because
it very often, but I like to think that I am pretty cool.
I think
got to
you're
get a
cool,
hat.
Brendan. I do think
And
you're cool.
I
Got to get a
explore
hat,
stuff.
mate. Get that cowboy hat that he wears. Get yourself a whip.
Oh
That,
my. Hey,
I mean,
Richie.
okay, a whip. Awesome, man. If you have a
Oh
whip,
my
you're
Have
God.
to
fucking
do it,
cool.
man.
I hate snakes. But so Richie, tell us what's going on at Mentality Matters, right? It's a big month with the
Oh,
magazine and the Veterans Day parade coming up.
yeah. Do you know? So this is Veterans and Military Families Month, and it's a really big month for us as a charity, or a non-profit. So as we're known in the US. But it's really about remembering the sacrifice that there's two sides. The sacrifice that people have made for the country to be able to be where we are today, freedom of speech, um, and the wars that we fought to be able to, whether that's physical or whether that's the psychological wars that people fight on a daily basis. There's a group of people out there who are they're suffering, really suffering. And on the flip side of that, you've got those who sadly have lost the fight, lost the battle, and they're the ones who the 17. I believe the statistics are now is that it's not 22 anymore. It's always been around about the 17 mark, but it varies. So it fluctuates quite a lot, and it depends on which study you look at. Between 17 and 22, a day killed themselves. Veterans a day killed themselves. So, with those statistics, this month's a real big push for us to be able to get the word out there for people to know that they're not alone. November leading into December is the most miserable months in the calendar year,
Oh
where
yeah.
people are lonely. And with Christmas coming up, we're looking to get as many people involved as possible to be able to. I'm calling it the buddy buddy system, military term. But get out there if you know a veteran who's suffering, or you know a guy who's suffering, first responder. Just because it's Veterans Month doesn't mean that all these other people aren't suffering too. If you know someone who's gone quiet, and then that's not usual, go and see if they're okay. Ask them, "Are you okay?" And I think that's the really important push for us this month is to to make sure those guys are good, and make sure that they're not doing something they shouldn't be, in the sense of, harming themselves or falling into the pit, as I like to describe it, falling over that edge into the darkness. So,
Iso Isolation's rough. I think I was talking about this
mm,
last week, when I got separated and then divorced, I went
mm,
from a house of five to a house of one. And, even though the marriage was challenging, let's just say, the loss of the kids and that quiet, thankfully I had good skills and developed skills and had help from my friends, but it's really important to reach out and, go to a restaurant if you need to, or somewhere, go talk, get in groups. I think that might be one of the reasons why I like group exercises, believe it or not, like the Zumba class or yoga. There's lots of people you can interact
It
with.
has
So
nothing to do with the dancing. It has
no,
nothing
no.
to do with that. It's about the it's about the
all the
connection.
90% women. I'm just gonna throw
Only
it in
that.
there.
Only
Just
that.
saying,
I'm
just
just
saying.
saying.
That's a
Hey,
bonus.
you like dancing?
These
That's all we're saying. You really love dancing.
I don't know, man. Like an hour of dancing around all that wonderful feminine energy, man. Nothing's gonna balance you out
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
We should
Well,
all
you're
do
not
Zumba.
alone.
Be that
Not
as it
alone.
may, connectivity is really important, and
You're not wrong.
isolation is challenging, can be
Isolation is
challenging,
a big problem. You're right.
right?
And it's a
Yeah.
tough time of year, and there's a lot of people that have an anniversary of a friend that has maybe taken their life, and it's not um it's not a recipe for good mental health, especially we were
Mm.
talking about with the short days and all everyone's just searching for a bit of sunlight. Yeah, we really need each other, especially right now.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, we do. We definitely do. And it's there's the studies show that if you ask someone once, you're not going to get a true response. If you ask someone twice, you're more likely to get the true response. So making sure that people are okay with not being okay, that's something that we're really pushing on. Get rid of that stigma that's attached to that we talk about all the time. And it is a real stigma. And I think I touched on it last time that I had an officer come up to me and talk to me at an event, and he told me, he's struggling to the point of where he doesn't feel anything anymore,
Mhm.
which is I know is a really dark place to be, and making bad decisions in life, relational, and then knowing that there is a place that he can go to, but there's a barrier in the way that stops him because it's the stigma that's attached to that, where you lose your gun, you lose your badge. People then look at you different, talk about you, and as much as you try and hold it to yourself, you're off the team, like straight off. And as long as you're
You're
in
right, man.
therapy, you're off that team. So people know exactly what's going on, whether or not you want them to. So that's the biggest barrier that we're finding at the moment. It's the feeling that you're not a whole man. And I can talk from experience. When I was at my darkest points, I didn't feel like a whole man. I didn't know what a man meant. What
Hmm.
kind of man am I if I'm suffering, if I'm sitting in a dark room crying? What kind of guy does that? And it's really ironic because in the Westchester magazine article that they did, the first line is Richard Sharrett is a man's man. And I sat there and I contemplated what that meant. And I didn't write this. That's not anything that I said. I had a very fantastic conversation with Paul, and he kind of summed it all up into that one sentence, that I'm a man's man because I've been places, I've done stuff, I've traveled the world, I've been in shitholes, I've been in the best places, I've done some amazing and some really crappy things, and I've been a good person, I've been a bad person. I think we've all got that in us as well. But, what is a man's man? And that's the question I started to ask myself. What is a man's man in this day and age? And it's hard because I think I've got my own opinion. I was brought up with a father who told me that pain is emotion leaving the body, um, and you shouldn't cry. That's not anything a guy does. That's something that was drilled into me from an early age. And he was military, and we touched on it before. He's got PTSD as well. But when you are brought up I was brought up in the number one voted worst place to live in the UK, in Middlesbrough. Every time I went to the shop for my mum to get some milk. I had to fight. There was a group of kids there, and I ended up doing martial arts. I ended up having to defend myself regularly, and then I joined the army to get away from it because you really only had two choices. You either become, get into the drug scene, or I joined the police at the time to get away from that. But it wasn't quick enough, so I joined the military to get away. And a lot of my friends still live there, and they're gonna die there. They're born, they live, they die, all in one place, and they haven't traveled the world. They haven't met other cultures and experienced other cultures and help them understand what the world's about and grow from that. So I've kind of sat back and really looked at my childhood and went, I didn't have a bad childhood. My mum was off a trolley, but she was a good mum. She worked 6 jobs every
Oh,
day.
man.
She left the house early, so I had to learn to iron my school clothes, make my own breakfast, get myself. I had a paper round as well from the age of 12, 13. So I was up early doing all that, doing my paper
After.
round. I was getting to school on time, doing school, homework, and then I was back on a paper round in the evening as well. And then I was trying to find time because I was also quite of a clean freak, so I was always tidying and doing all this shit. And yeah, you look back and you think, how did I have enough time? But my mum, she was trying her hardest and to bring up 3 kids, and my dad, whilst he tried his hardest because back in those days when he got divorced, it was always go to mum. Every child goes to mum. Dad has to fight his case in court. So I had a good childhood, good friends. I was popular. It was tough. It was really tough, growing up in Middlesbrough. But I moved away from that. And then fast forward, now I'm 42, have an article written about me, having suffered with PTSD for a very long time, 10 years before I really knew what was going on. And then being called a man's man, I was like, what does that mean? Like, how can I be classed as a man's man, when I've broken down so many times, and I've been held up by other people. And I think that's the biggest question that I would like to be able to answer as we go through with the non-profit or the work we're doing online, the coaching that we do with people, being able to utilize the data that comes from it to say, what is the answer? Is there a definitive answer to that question? What is a man's man? Or do we have to create layers of understanding for different aspects of your life? So when you come through your teens, what could that look like, as from the male perspective? As you come through your 20s, what are you going to experience there? And your 30s and your 40s. And ironically, most of the veterans that kill themselves are actually 40 plus. They're in their 50s. Most of these are late 40s, 50s who are killing themselves. So what's happening to them? Where's the studies that say what's happening to them? Are they getting divorced? And I was on a meeting on Friday. I do a weekly meeting with Mission Matters, and great group. And there was a lady called Heather came on, and she was talking about she works with women going through the menopause. And I, strangely enough, the week before, just read an article on women. 70% of divorces are initiated by women. That's what the statistic is. And then it's a question of, well, why? And funny enough, the age range is 35 to 45. That's the biggest age range. And I went, so I listened to what Heather had to say, and I went, that's the menopausal time period for women. That's when most women go through it. Guess what? Men go through the menopause too, but they go through it in a different way, where they have 7 signs and symptoms, where the testosterone starts to drop. So they go through a form of menopause as well. So their minds and bodies are changing. And when you've got 2 people going through that at the same time, you might be very close, but suddenly you start getting distance. And I describe to my kids in this way that when you're young, you're just starting out. You're on you're on the seas. You've got a nice little ship, and you're navigating the sea. And there's going to be people who are going to come and try and jump on your boat and try and take it over, but you've got to fight them away. And they're the bad people who you want to stay out of your lives. And you've got these good people. As a man, you have a partner come into it, and you start to share your ship a little bit. And then when you get married, your ship's grown. And it grows to the size of the need. And when you get married and you have kids, you've got a big enough ship, a warship, big ship that can sail the seven seas. And as a family, you look after that ship, and there's going to be days when it's beautiful weather and it's nice and calm seas, and there's going to be days when it's just crazy storms and you're rocking all over the place and you've got people running left, right, and center. But it's important to know that in a relationship, it is a ship and you're working together to keep that ship afloat. And there's times, and this is what I was explaining, that a ship comes close to you and your partner might want to jump ship. That's where the saying comes from. They jump ship. So now your ship, you've got this really big ship and you've got these kids and you have no partner. And you're trying to do all of these different parts, but that's not how it's meant to be. You're meant to have that partner with you to be able to coexist on this ship. And that's where the difficulties happen, that you're trying to do everything that you did before with no partner, with that love gone or lost at sea. So what do we do as men? What do we do? Well, we start again. We have a small ship because most of the time the kids jump ship with their mum. We go back down to a small ship and we start again. And we're still on those seven seas. We've still got those nice days and those shitty days. And we're battling. And there's days when we're calm, but we're still on the seven seas. And suddenly it starts to grow again. And it's about understanding that you can stay afloat if you just keep the right mindset and you keep the clear skies in front of you. And so I described certainly my 14-year-old who was trying to learn about relationships. And I said to him, you're on a boat and it's going to be rough. And it's just as rough for us as it is for women. And their boats are sometimes get waterlogged too. And when you find the right person, that ship will grow and you'll be able to navigate together. And it makes the journey a lot better as well. So when you're on your own and you're out, and it's dark, it's nighttime, you've got the stars, it's still lonely. So we're all looking for people. And sometimes I say relationships aren't just love interests. You've got friends. So why don't you come together with ships and have a party on your friendship? Be together, and it might not be like the physical party, but a conversation. And that's maybe what you need. Two ships in the sea, side by side, chatting shit. So then you're not as lonely, but you're still on the sea. So when I put it to him like that, he started to understand. He was like, wow, I can see it in my mind now. I'm on this ship. And I think that's what we need to do with children, explain to them in a way that they understand, so that when they start to grow through their teens, their 20s, their 30s, they have a great foundation. And that foundation then allows them to build something amazing on top of it.
There's so many great nautical references there. It's so true too, like um, whenever you get two skippers of two boats in the same time in the same place, all they want to do is talk about their boats. All they want to do is admire each other's ships, you know. I had a boat when I just sailed in the Irish Sea for a while. It was a 37-foot fishing trawler that had been converted into a sailboat. And I was up in Scotland and I was in a place called what was it called now? Lamlash Bay, which is near Arran Island. It's a really beautiful little place. Anyway, the guy pulled his boat next to mine. He was from Belgium. Christian Cellier, his name was. And we rafted up for 2 days together. And it was like Belgium and Ireland rafting up together. On his boat, there was French wine and baguettes, and on my boat there was whiskey and potato crisps, and look, it was wild, right? But all we did, because he was heading north and I was heading south, whenever the weather was going to calm down, it was meant to calm down, he was going to go where I was, and I was going to go where he was. And all I wanted to know was what the weather was like down there, where are the places that I need to be, where should I avoid, and he was the same thing. And we wrote down each other's notes. It was like it was incredible. I kept in touch with Christian for 5 or 6 years,
Mm.
just in passing, we would have talked. But uh, nautical references, man, like boats are in our blood, um, and every good sailor knows when to shorten sail. My
Mm.
dad always told me that. That's like someone that can maybe foresee danger happening, and so they shorten sail because they see the high winds coming, you know?
Mm.
which is nice, but that's not always true, right? It's more true that two ships in the night, when they sail close together, they are able to speak to one another. It's still dark, but when those two ships come together, that's the exchange of information, which can be the thing that saves the life of both ships,
Hmm.
Alone, it's a very big sea out there.
Mm.
I had a really good friend. I have a really good friend. He's like my Irish father, Johnny McComb, and I've told you about Johnny before. And he was like, Brendan, a ship is like a woman. And I says, well, why is that, Johnny? He says, well, because they like to get painted up and they always get their own way. I says, Johnny, you're freaking right, mate. And he also said, you know, you want a good woman like a good ship. You don't want to have to keep working the rigging. And I was like, oh, Johnny, you're bringing up the gold dust here, brother. But it's true, you know, too much work in the rigging, too much
Mm.
focus on the boat, and it crashes into the shore because you're not looking
Yeah.
at where it's meant to be going, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and I suppose every relationship, there's give and take and there's compromises. And my wife is constantly working my rigging and I'm working her rigging. But you get smoother at it, you get better, and you understand each other more as the years press
Mm.
on. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
it's not
true.
always easy. In fact, sometimes I
No.
mean no one can press my buttons like my wife, man. Like
Yeah.
she can get me going, man. And the same thing for me, I can get her going too. But together we are so much more powerful. And right, like um I got rid of my ship. She got rid of her ship. We're on the same ship now. Like we
Wow, that's
built a new
Hmm.
great.
one, you know.
Yeah, good.
It's a totally different thing. And
That's great.
thanks, buddy. I mean, I have no like if you had said 20 years ago, Brennan, you're gonna move to Ireland and you're gonna raise three kids there, I would have said fuck off. That's just no way that's gonna happen. But it's true, man. And
Mm.
yeah, Rich, yeah, I think, we do want the best for our kids. And I think we need the skippers have to get together and exchange notes.
Mm.
Can't do it on your own. And just
Hmm.
because you don't have a partner anymore, it doesn't mean you're on your own. Um, there's loads of men out there. We all can get together in the same place and exchange notes. And if I have a
Mm.
big gap if I don't know where the waters are, when I'm heading down through the fingers or something, you know where those waters are. You know where the
Yeah.
tidal races are. You
Hmm.
know where the eddies are. You'll be able to help me. And that's what it's all
Yeah.
about. And the more people we can get in the same place at the same time, the greater the effect.
Yeah. Yeah. I think certainly something that I learned early on that I wish I had put in practice was you have to have a goal.
Mm.
And, we go back to seeing how we're having a sailing theme today. You can be bobbing on the water all day and just be going around in circles. Simple as that. But you need to have a goal. So you need to have an end point that you're trying to get to. And whether that's a joint ship with your partner or a ship on your own, you need to be going somewhere and have a point to the journey. Because when you're just bobbing around, life can get pretty shit. You get stuck in a whirlwind, you get stuck in storms, and you're never going to reach the shores of the places you're trying to get to. So have a goal. And I've learned that with the rough seas come the smooth, and with the smooth come the rough. But in my relationship, we have a goal that we're trying to achieve. My goal is that I want to be able to work my ass off. If I have to, work the rest of my life so that my kids don't have to go through the childhood I went through, that's my goal in life. And that's my wife's goal too. She came from a relatively wealthy family. Her mum worked her butt off. She's an only child, gave her what she needed. And then my wife joined the military from an early age of 16. So she's had goals throughout her entire life and career. Me, not so much, because of my upbringing, but I knew that I didn't want to. My goal was to move out of where I was. My goal was to become something greater than my predecessors in my family had in the previous generations, and be the first millionaire is definitely one of my goals. To be the first millionaire in my family, and I think that's something that we all want to achieve. The financial aspect, because I believe that with a big bank balance comes happiness. And people say to me, money doesn't bring happiness, and I say no. Money allows you the time to do what you want to do. It's the choice. And if you can wake up and have a choice of how you're going to spend your day, that is true happiness. And whether it's in bed, on a holiday, with your partner, with your kids, it's that choice that we lack when we don't have the right amount of money. And I'm not saying millionaire status or billionaire. I'm saying whatever's comfortable for you, that you can afford all your bills, but have a bit extra to choose on a weekend, or to wake up and just go, do you know what? My mortgage is paid for, and for me, I get a pension. So to wake up and go, I'm just gonna go for coffee today, spend some time with my wife and listen to what she has to say. That's happiness. So I'm a big believer that if you looked at it in the right way, I think the limited mindsets is they're the individuals who say money doesn't bring happiness. But I think if you have an unlimited mindset where everything's possible, then you see the world differently. And as men, there's only two options in life. You're either brought up by a father or you're not. And my father wasn't around as much as he probably wanted to be. So I was brought up with a very limited mindset. And it was moving to America, and it was meeting people like Eric who have a totally different mindset in life because of what happened in life, or through the way that you were brought up, or just the American dream. Over the last 2 years, I have totally changed, and there's no limits. When you say $1 million is nothing. Like, genuinely, in America, you can earn $1 million if you've got a good idea, or you just want to work your ass off and do it. And that's the point. So with the non-profit, when we sit down and we have these conversations and we're like, right, we need sponsors because we want to go out and save people's lives. And every day that we don't get those sponsors, I touched on this last week, every day we don't get the sponsors, between 17 and 22 veterans alone die. That's not including men or first responders. You don't bring those statistics into it. But if you do, it drastically increases how many people. So for me, have an unlimited mindset, but you've got to get there first. You've got to meet the right people, be in the right groups. If you're the smartest man in the room, you're in the wrong room. If you hang around with 9 losers, you'll soon be the 10th. And it's about having these small sayings that in your back of your mind where you go, wow, what you're saying is bullshit. And I know more than you. And I know more than everyone in this room. So I think it's time I change my circle of friends and I start going and I grow. Go and grow is something that I always say. I like that saying. Go and grow.
My cousin said, Brennan, if you hang around a barber shop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut. And then another buddy of mine, he was a blacksmith, and he said, Brennan, you make friends with a donkey, you can expect to get kicked.
Oh,
So,
geez.
yeah, man, it's true. You gotta.
That is true.
You have to
that's
make.
absolutely true.
And there's another one here, just to lighten it up a little bit. Did you hear the one about the blacksmith dog?
No.
This fella, poor blacksmith, passed on, eh? But he still had this dog. So his dog went to the pound, and someone brought the blacksmith's dog home, and he said, funniest thing about the blacksmith's dog, as soon as I got him home, he made a bolt for the door. What a bolt!
Hey, dad jokes. We're always inviting dad jokes on the show.
Oh my gosh.
You know what about the blacksmith dog? As soon as he got him home, he made a bolt for the door. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. That's a good joke. I'm going to use that
There,
with my
guys.
kids so that
No.
Yeah, we should end on that note, man.
It's only going to get worse.
End on the high, quick.
This was great. Go with that.
Amazing. Awesome.
All right, I'm going to go sit on the couch with my wife now.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, everyone who watched and listens, we're very grateful. And please share, comment below. Chuckins, we'd love to know what you want us to talk about. Like I say, we've got enough experience between the three of us to be able to answer 99% of issues and questions. So if you've got anything, or even if you want to come on and have a conversation with us, we'd love that. So drop us a comment below, and until next
That
time,
would be cool,
we'll
man. That would be cool. Yeah, I guess
stay
would be
safe in
great.
it.
See you
Yeah,
guys.
get on the show.
See you,
Have a
Rich.
good
Bye,
one.
Eric.
See you
I'll see
later,
you both
buddy.
later. Bye bye.